Welcome to episode 29 of the Tennis Hackery podcast. This is the place where we discuss all things about tennis that relate to the fundamentals, fitness, and the mind aspect of tennis. We are a group of extremely passionate San Francisco Bay Area based tennis coaches slash geeks. Uh, Today we have Coach Craig with us and Soham. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Doing
Great to
well, doing well.
Yes.
Happy July 13th.
Yes, yes. Happy July 13th. And yes, and happy July 4th to those listening in the United States. Yeah. Uh, I'll start with a marketing spiel. At Tennis Hackery with a Y is our social media handle. So you can find us on Instagram, where we are very active, Meta, Facebook, X, which used to be Twitter. The video version of the podcast goes to YouTube. The audio goes to your favorite podcasting platform. You can find us at Tennis Hackery on any of your podcasting apps. And please do like, share, subscribe. All right, let's get started with the episode. What are we talking about today?
Well, uh, we have a lot of exciting things to talk
Yeah,
about in
yeah,
general,
yep,
but we like I always say we can go on and on.
yep.
All of us love talking about tennis pretty much all day long. But because of time constraints, I think it's very apt that we talk about the Wimbledon, which
Yes,
concluded today. Two
yep,
weeks of lots of fascinating matches, upsets, some crazy score lines, a bunch of things that happened, and I'm repping the Wimbledon with the cap. I was fortunate to be there in 2015, actually 10 years ago. Um,
yeah,
and it's such a wonderful place to be, which is why everyone who always all the professional players who talks about like I grew up watching tennis, grew up
yeah,
watching Wimbledon. Like Wimbledon is that dream, right? Playing in center court, winning
yep.
Wimbledon is like a dream for all. So let's talk about Wimbledon, but really quick shout out to all of our listeners who enjoyed the video we had with uh, Gigi Fernandez last episode. We had some Insta post reels, and we got a lot of love, a lot of views. We're really excited. We're looking to grow, and definitely in the pipeline, we have some more exciting guests who will be coming on our show. So please, like Tarun always says, please, we are really exciting and kind of content that we deliver. And with Craig, Alex, who's unfortunately not here, I feel like we have so much more to offer. So keep listening to us and give us your feedbacks.
All right, Craig, let's get started with Wimbledon. So, what do you think were the highlights? I mean, what do you think? So,
Yikes. Yeah, there's so many directions, but we'll
yeah,
start with recency bias.
yeah,
Great. I mean, this is now definitely going to be a rivalry, right? It's
yeah,
Sinner Alcaraz for a while until somebody does something about it, which, we were talking about it pre-show. It's like, how cool would it be if they go again at the U.S. Open, and just the excitement of
yeah,
people having two
yeah,
guys who mostly, everybody universally liked for the most part,
yep.
and great players. Both, you can do the Brad Gilbert does the box score with serves, who's got the check marks, and returns, who got the check marks, who's the better movers, and so forth. And just to have those talks amongst friends, or doing a podcast, or just watching and seeing, these guys are so even, and it's nice to have two. We're blessed. Tennis is blessed to have two guys like that after these amazing big threes, and it's amazingly on the men's side we're so spoiled, and a little bit on the women's side for sure too. But these
Oh,
guys are
yes.
just unbelievable. And today, a great match, a very very good match. Maybe not a great match because I don't know if the two guys ever played awesome at the same time.
Yeah,
And actually, the French, if you look back at it, what
yeah,
made the French great was that fifth set drama, right? Because the
yes,
first two sets were similar, where
yes,
first four sets, I should say, where Sinner kind of dominated the first two, and then Alcaraz, got in gear in the next two, and then the fifth set was the fifth set, and the tiebreaker. Obviously, it was a spectacle, but yeah, this one was Sinner came out straight away playing pretty well. Then Alcaraz, I mean, he goes down 2-4,
four.
and
Yeah,
then up 5-4, and it's instant scoreboard pressure, and it's got to be deja vu for Sinner all over again. And there was a point. where it wasn't until 5-4, 30 all, Alcaraz's first drop shot appeared. And when that happened, for me, how I felt about it was, holy cow, he's up 5-4, 40, 30, and that was his first drop shot. I was like, oh no. I was like, Sinner's and
Yeah.
Sinner's going to lose the set and he's going to be in a boatload of trouble. And if you remember that 40-30 point then was this amazing point that Sinner was
Yeah.
hustling and hitting great shots, but Alcaraz was, topped him. And that's the way the second set ended, where Sinner was up 5-4. I don't know if it was 40-30, but he was up 5-4 with a game point. And it was an amazing rally. And then Sinner hit an amazing cross court forehand after a great 10-shot rally that was just high level. And it's like, holy cow. So the sets ended really climactically. The sets were, okay. So it was just but to have this rivalry and another chapter being written, I thought it was amazing. How about you, Soham? What did you take out of today's highlights?
I, you know, it when the final started, right? Like I was thinking to myself that, after that epic French Open Roland Garros final that they had, it would be justice served to Sinner if he could pull it off. Because if he could, um, then it would be really nice for the rivalry to come alive. Otherwise, because in the last five meetings, Alcaraz was 5-0 against Sinner. So it seemed that either there was like he was having the mental edge over Sinner, right? Like every time in these big moments, right? So I was like, I think it would be really nice for the tennis world if Sinner can come back from that devastating loss in French and to take that revenge. So that's what I was thinking. And like you said, Craig, like he came out firing on all cylinders. I think Alcaraz was a little bit off. And then the first set, like you described exactly, like he kind of stole it, I thought, Alcaraz.
Yeah, it was an
Stole it
amazing
from
10
Sinner.
minutes.
With that, yeah, the last couple of games, yeah, he played really lights out. Uh, it's natural at that point because that would be four sets in a row dating back to the French Open that Alcaraz has stolen from Sinner. And any moment, a professional player has some emotions, right? Unless you're like a freaking machine like Sinner is. And you start doubting yourself that can I do this? And it's like a mental thing at that point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so happy to see the way Sinner kind of bounced back and played. Great shots. Just I think there was a video where I saw later on like social media where they just like um took out all the noise from the background and I could literally just hear them hitting the ball. They're like crushing the
Yeah.
ball,
Yeah.
middle of the racket, sweet spot. It's like beautiful, like
Yeah.
technically sound, hitting like perfect shots.
Yeah.
It's so good to see that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
great for the juniors too to see
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah. Tremendous
And
ball striking.
Sinner
Yeah.
with his tremendous balance, footwork, he's a skier, right? So
Yeah.
he gets down low, bends his knees really well. I just thought it was good to see him back once at all. And I think the next two sets, which I actually didn't see the match live, I saw highlights. I just felt like Alcaraz was a little bit off today. He was not his self, and you can't always be
Yeah.
at your peak every single match. It's not easy. It was Sinner's time, I think. And I
Yeah.
honestly feel at the end, the way he finished it off, I think he really deserved it. Like he was, these two guys are here to stay. And like I was telling my buddy Rohit, just a little while ago, that I just don't see anybody close to them. I just don't see it. Like if Novak is the third best player in the field, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating rival. And one thing I would like to say is, the way they kind of embraced each other after the match, the camaraderie that you saw, and very small point that I would like to highlight is Carlos was like clapping when Sinner was with his box. It's good to see that kind of appreciation
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's
The
two
perspective. Yeah.
people who respect each other's game
Yeah.
and respect the rivalry. and this is only going to grow. And it really does remind me of Fedal, like Federer
Yeah.
and Nadal.
Yeah.
Like you're elevating each other's game, and
Yeah.
both are getting better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the problem is they're getting even better
Than the
than the
rest of the
rest of
field.
the field.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
this is a danger for the rest of the field. And
Yeah.
what I would like to ask Tarun is, Tarun, um, I know both Craig and I spoke about the match, right? The men's match. We will come back to women's in a bit. But what's in store for the future for like what do you think? Like US Open, usually it's like an open field, they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like what's your opinion about this rivalry for the next like 2, 3 years? Is it just gonna be them?
Well, it's I think they are going to be splitting a lot of slams. They're going to be for sure. They're going to be going deep into a lot of slams, in my opinion, from what I have going by this sample size. But if you look if you, even in Wimbledon, if you look about Sinner, technically could have lost. I mean, he was down 2 sets against Dimitrov, and Dimitrov sadly had to retire.
That's right.
So
That's right.
there will be challenges. There will be challenges to them, and I also do think that of the two, I think we spoke about this before. I feel, I mean, on natural surfaces, Alcaraz has a slightly higher ceiling, but he also goes up and down. So I feel
Mhm.
that people like Zverev do have legit chances in taking Alcaraz out. Um, I don't know about Novak because I don't. I mean, from what he says, it does look like he feels that it's pretty much physically it's very challenging for him to keep up with these two guys, specifically these two guys. So I mean, I do see a few slams where there will be upsets where specifically I still think Alcaraz might lose in early rounds, but we'll see. I
It's
cannot
just
predict
a
anything. Yeah, yeah,
it's just a crazy consistency of
yeah,
like Sinner, even though
yeah,
like he was close to losing to Grigor. So
yeah,
special shout out to Grigor. You really feel
yeah,
bad for
yeah,
the way he
yeah,
suffered the injury because he was playing lights out that day.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
He was troubling Sinner.
yeah.
A,
Um,
a
No,
quick point
that's
to you guys. 16, 17 years ago, we might have been, if we were doing this podcast, you might have been having the same question posed
yeah.
to Tarun Soham, and would you know who I'm talking about? So it would be like Rafa and Fed.
yep.
It's like because after like 2008 and 2009, they had some of those epic finals, and you're like, okay, these two guys are, Djokovic was in the wings for sure, but I don't think
Yeah,
anybody saw he was pretty fragile. He wasn't like super tough. He retired
yeah,
at a bunch of
yeah.
events, and
Correct.
True.
he was not a dynamo of mental and fitness, strength. And Murray was, okay, but those guys found a way. And it's just you wonder who are the two guys, and then Wawrinka,
Yeah,
wiggled his way in there. Who I love, Stan the Man. So who are those guys? And Zverev's been around. Novak turned that around pretty quickly.
yes,
Mhm.
Zverev is. We've talked about this, well
yeah,
documented. We're all
yeah,
not necessarily thinking, and we're all in agreement that
yeah,
Zverev's not going to be that guy. It'll be interesting to see who it is.
yeah,
Is it going to
yeah.
be a Shelton? Is it going to be a Musetti? Is it going to be, one of these guys who comes in, a Fritz? And
Of Fritz, yeah, true.
I don't know. We'll see. I think there's a chance, but they certainly don't make it look evident right now, do they?
Yeah,
No, I
yep,
just feel like it could be one of those one-off slams where both of these guys happen to
yeah,
have an off slam and
Hmm.
somebody takes advantage because someone like a Shelton, Fritz, or one of those guys. Like, I mean, Tsitsipas is like, well, this
yeah. He
funniest
has
thing,
physical issues. Yeah,
man.
he
Yeah.
did speak about his struggles. Yeah,
So Goran kind of flat out like dissed
yeah,
him on
yeah.
on national,
Mm.
not national
Yeah.
television, but
On
like
social media, yeah, yeah. We
social
saw
media.
some of those
That's
posts.
not
Yeah,
a good sign for somebody who had talent, right?
yeah,
And then you have Grigor, who again, like baby fed, like tremendous amount of talent. He's always like injured, like he has to retire. Like that's like 5 times in a row now,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Yes.
That's sad. And I think Shelton has a lot of he has a high ceiling, I think.
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
can only get better, but does he have the mental? That's the other thing, like Craig, this is a question for you. In fact, I wish I could have asked Alex this question. But I'm gonna ask you, Craig. Um, do you see a difference in the performance especially from a mental and physical standpoint, of like players who come from the European circuit, who are born and raised in or trained in Europe,
Yeah,
versus players who are trained in America?
100%. The number one thing I see, and I noticed it more this year, I think has just been a focus of my coaching and my training with my juniors. The footwork is exponentially better with our any of the European models, and I think part of it is, I think both, whether you're from America or whether you train in Europe, everybody works hard, but you have to work so much harder and more efficiently on clay and grass
Yeah.
than you do on hard courts. There's just no way around it. And if you grow up on the red clay, you are bound to have a you're to have a chance to be a better mover. Okay, because not everybody on clay is, you know, better tennis
Yeah.
player than
True.
right. Everybody who's grown on hard courts, that's true. But yeah, I mean, when you look at, I was watching the French Open. I'm watching Shelton specifically. He's one of my favorite Americans. But when he's playing Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner, and he's taking these pitter patty steps on clay and then hitting and then running back, it's like, you know, a couple Scooby Doo steps, right? It's like, and then heading back in the other direction. And all these European players are sliding and then hitting. And as soon as they hit, they're done with their slide, back into the mix, running towards the recovery point. It's just so much more efficient and so much better.
Mm.
Americans might be good movers, but and they might even be great movers, but they're great movers on hard courts for the most part,
Yeah.
and not necessarily on clay or grass. And I think we're seeing that, and it messes after a while with shot selection and confidence and the physicality at some point and the mental. So I think that some of the physical causes some of the mental, and you see Shelton hanging in there for a set or two. It's constantly 4 sets. You know, they split sets at the beginning, and
Yeah.
then run out of gas in the third, and then run out of a whole lot of gas in
Mm.
the fourth.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's just tough. I think movement is the biggest thing for sure,
Yeah.
100%, and then it affects that mental for sure, you know, for
Yeah.
sure down the road.
Do
Yeah.
you think
Speaking.
like if we quick comment, quick question to Craig here, and then Tarun, go ahead after that. Do you think that if US somehow has more variety of like tennis courts, like maybe more clay or more grass or something like that, that could be something which is helpful? Like I know there's cost issues, infrastructure, maintenance, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I just think that um, gosh, I hate to say this, that the American model is set. It's like just big serves and big forehands and good
Yeah.
movement and hard work, but it's just hard. It's hard court tennis in North America, whether you're
Yeah.
in Canada, the U.S., Mexico, you know, and these are places that used to have. I mean, Mexico still might, Central America and Mexico still might have clay courts, but their
Yeah.
tune-ups now are tune-ups for Indian Wells, right?
Yeah.
Acapulco is a hard court.
Yeah.
So, you know, Southern California is obviously a hard court. So these places have plenty of opportunities to have clay and they don't. So what's the answer? Not sure if I know, but I think the model, yeah, it might be easier to maintain. It's maybe, you know,
Yeah.
cost effective, but I also think there's a work issue that I don't know how many juniors want to work that hard to
Yeah.
play tennis on that clay when it's not part of their. How do you
Yeah.
change it? I don't know
Yeah.
how you change it.
Yeah.
Tarun, what do you think?
Yeah. 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 You're right. You're right, Craig. So I think hard court is pretty much embedded in the North American tennis culture, and it's going to be very difficult unless there is like, I guess maybe could be some exchange programs, players visiting each other's countries, trying to like explore more on clay, or maybe clay court specialist coaches trying to come and coach here and things like that. Maybe there is, if you can't build the infrastructure, maybe some movement of people and talent across back and forth might help. I mean, these are the obvious things that come to my mind, of course. So
It might
yeah,
take an American to be like a Nadal, right? Well, nobody will ever be like Nadal, but what if an American wins like 5 French Opens?
right.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Yeah.
might, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
do it.
That
You
might.
know that.
Yeah. True.
Like Andre had that capability
Yeah.
back in the day,
Absolutely.
I think,
Yes.
Jim Courier
Yeah,
won like two, I
Absolutely.
think.
Yes. Yes.
But because we spoke about the European way of things and footwork and all of that, I have a specific question right at you, Tarun, since you are an expert on this and you follow Iga a lot.
Yeah.
So Iga is relentless. We saw that in the
Yeah.
Wimbledon final when you're double bailing someone.
Oh, yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
And clearly Amanda, who did a phenomenal job to get to the finals,
Yeah.
with all her history of taking break and coming back. So I'm really really proud and happy for her. Um, you know, tell us what you thought, because at the end of the day, the movement was a big difference in the final,
Yeah. Yeah.
besides the nervousness.
Yes. She's incredible. I think I had a feeling there was some element of burnout in her because she's such an intense player. It seems to me, I mean, from the outside looking in, that there might be kind of, she takes tennis too seriously, no life outside tennis. I mean, this is just looking from outside. So perhaps there was a burnout issue which explained her results in the past year and a half, but she's come back with a bang. I mean, that too, on like she's supposed to be like a clay court specialist with that incredible, quick steps, quick footwork, all the sliding. I mean, she just showed that, solid footwork, intensity really wins you matches. And
What is it?
yeah,
What is it about her specific? I know you follow her.
yeah,
Is it just her footwork, or just that razor focus? Like I saw,
yes,
like when I met you the other day, Tarun,
yeah,
I
yeah,
told you something, and I would like you to speak about this. Literally, when she was playing points, she never looked anywhere else. She was just so
yeah,
focused and so disciplined. That's really hard.
yes, absolutely. To me, yes. It's really hard, that focus and the discipline. But to me, I feel, I mean, looking at her game, I think her biggest strength is the quick movement, and it's just relentless. So she's able to compensate for uh, on fast hard courts and grass. Like there is obviously a power differential from what she has versus people like Sabalenka, Madison Keys, Maddie Keys, but she compensates with some incredible footwork, and she's relentless. I still remember watching her at Indian Wells like about 4 5 years back. Sorry, no, to 2023. Uh, she was playing one of the American players. I think it was Kathy Liu, and the relentlessness is just incredible. She makes very very few unforced errors. She won the first set with a bagel. She's just giving out bagels left, right, and center. But she made her first unforced error. I was literally charting that match. She made her first unforced error like when she was like 4-1 up or something like that in the second set.
Mhm.
I mean, so it's just that fierce focus, that relentlessness, and that footwork. I mean, it's just incredible.
Hats off to her, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, Craig, I have a couple of questions for you. One is how, so two-part. One is how does Amanda come back from this? Because this is kind of devastating, and national
Yeah.
television in front of so many people. I know it's not easy. She came from one of the best wins of her life. She played
Yes.
amazing against Sabalenka,
Yeah.
and maybe she was kind of physically, it took a lot out of her. And it's hard to recover and come back in 2 days, especially
Yeah.
when fitness isn't your strength. So one is, how do you think she comes back from that, or as a player can come back from such a devastating defeat? And secondly is, the crazy amount of seeds that lost early on in Wimbledon. I mean, can you
Yeah.
can you shed some light on that?
Yeah. So as far as Amanda, I think there's two approaches you can take, and I think she's doing a hybrid of them, and which I'm very proud of her for. It's you just flush it and wipe it away. But I think there is a danger in that where if you become defensive that and you don't embrace the O and O, it's like, oh, it was a bad day and it, wasn't my time, and you don't really own it. And man, during her speech, she owned it, and she articulately talked about it's like, hey, it's my first time in the final. I think as I look back, these 2 weeks really, I put everything in these 2 weeks, and I had what I had, and
Yeah.
and that was up until Friday, or Thursday, right? Because I
Yeah.
didn't have anything left for Saturday. And she's like, now I know, and she not only digested that, but she admitted it.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to maybe admit it to your team, but I think there's as athletes, when you bear that a little bit and you're honest, um, publicly, for some of us, I think that's
Yeah.
a really good thing and opens you up and relaxes you, and it takes some of that pressure and edge off. So I think when she's there next time, she'll be able to use that as strength and foundation to become mentally stronger. 'Cause not only has she been there, but she also has admitted the areas that she can grow on. And I'm
Right.
sure she's obviously with her team and herself doing that. And like you guys said, with her break and what she's been through, she has a hell of a foundation. Who's better served to come back from that 0-0 than what she's been
Yeah.
through in the
Yep.
last
Yep. Yep.
month? I know it's
Totally.
hard if you look at it as the compound negative. I'm sure that could be a bad thing, but the reality is, I think she is more prepped than anybody because of the recent mental work she's done. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy for her. I think it was a great tournament, like you said, Soham, and I really am happy with the way she handled the the whole thing, and it was got to be extremely difficult. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
to be ripped apart like that on a final is got to be tough.
Yeah.
In part B, what was part B again?
I know
So
that's well
yeah.
said, well said,
Yeah.
Craig. Part B
Yeah.
was basically, and it wasn't even just the women's, but specifically in the women's, there were a lot of seeds
Oh yeah,
who
yeah.
who fell very early. And is do you think it's because the grass court season is so short?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, I mean, to go back and forth, and then we talked about with the movement, it's just such a crazy, crazy time of year, and people are, we don't know. We kind of know how the calendar falls in the short time, like you said, but we don't really know the approach of some of these players. Like, there's some players who might be just bagging the grass court season, right? And they're just like, okay, I blew my wad in the French, and I'm gonna try some things, but that's probably not going to stick. And they're probably halfway on a plane to the U.S. already. They're trying to play a warm up on grass and won Wimbledon, and that's
Right.
I'm out. And then there's some people who will go all in. So I think there's a little bit, and that you can go all in, and it still isn't your skill set, and you might get tossed out. You might have a number 8 ranking in the world,
Yeah.
but you might get tossed out in yesterday's newspaper because you've done such a great job on hard courts and clay, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, grass is like you're on skates out there. So it's tough, and it doesn't surprise me. The women's side certainly more than the men's. The women's side tends to be topsy and turvy with the upsets, but there was some on the men's side too. So it's always interesting.
Yeah.
It's
It
such a
is.
great
Yeah.
great sport, and things will even out in the hard court. But you'll find too, per the calendar, some guys right now are
Mhm.
signing up for like Geneva and another tournament in Germany, and there'll be another tournament in Spain. So they're going to go back to the clay to accumulate some points instead of coming over to play Atlanta and Washington.
Yeah.
And then once Cincinnati comes, they'll play obviously, and Montreal, or Toronto, I should say. So they're some guys are going to earn some points right now, and
For
they're
sure.
going back to
Yeah.
clay, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with the hard court. So
Yeah.
yeah, it has a little bit of all those things, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And one
Yep.
quick question for you, Tarun, because we should talk about world number one sometimes too. Sabalenka, you kind of maybe feel for her. She has not won a single slam this year, lost to Madison in Australia, Coco in France, and now Amanda. So
Yeah.
the Americans have her number.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah,
you
it's
have to say
true.
about that? Do you think she's a favorite for US Open?
I think fast hard courts, I think she should be one of the top contenders for sure. Um, I know, like listening to Roddick's podcast on Serve podcast, he usually is quite bullish on uh, Sabalenka. I think she has a big hitting game. She can dominate the court, good serve, and more importantly, she does not spare loose returns. This is what I have seen. Second serves, she's very tough on second serves. So I think, and she hits the ball through the court very well. So I do believe that hard court season, I think she will be back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I have a
Terminator,
question. I
like
have a
the
question
Terminator.
for Yeah, I have a question for you guys about that. So Soham and Tarun. Soham, you go first since you asked or you posed the question about being in the semifinals and not winning a slam. When you guys play, if you were to make the finals over and over, the semifinals, how would you balance the fact that you're always there in the mix, and along with maybe not getting it done? How do you balance those good feelings about getting through 5 or 6 rounds?
Yeah,
And obviously, there's 127 disappointed people, right? At
right,
Wimbledon, there's only one
right.
winner.
Yep.
But like Soham, how do you feel about that? And then Tarun, you as well.
Having having myself played tournaments, and there have been, good and bad results, over the years. I think it's there are a few things here. One is, of course, a fitness, right? You have to have the fitness to go through 7 rounds of a slam. That's not easy. And the other part is mental. So I think if you consistently are making the semis, the finals, but you're not getting it done, I would say most of it is mental or fitness related.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really think so. It's not even about strategy or fundamentals at that point. I mean, as tennis hacker, we thrive on providing analytic or data-driven analytics for fundamentals, fitness, and mindset. And I think when we evaluate videos and we see sometimes people are in the third set, they're not getting it done, then we start looking at things like, okay, is their fitness level dropping in the third set? Because that could be a factor, which means you're slow, you're reacting slow, you're not moving as well. Or are you just making bad decisions because it's like a mindset thing, right? Is it nerves? So for Sabalenka specifically, because we brought her up, um, I feel sometimes that when the players have played her, there's an extra motivation to beat the number one player in the world. And she hits hard. So some players actually like that pace. Like I know Madison likes it. Coco did a great job in the
The
French,
French.
and
Yeah.
Amanda likes that pace, right? So eh, maybe it's also strategic for Sabalenka to maybe vary things up a little bit. Don't give that pace maybe, maybe hit more slice, more spin. I don't know. Give more drop shots, come to the net, vary it up. So, who is an example from the men's side? Tarun, do you know of someone who like, I guess Sasha. I don't know. He would be a good example. I think for Sasha, honestly, I
Yeah.
think it's a mental thing.
Yeah,
It's not
yes,
about his
definitely, yeah.
ability.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think so, Craig, to answer your question, like I think it's very interesting, like putting myself in the shoes of someone like who has reached deep into a slams and is uh, I think for them, I think it's a question of, what you have to lose versus what you have to gain, right? So are you going to protect, are you going to follow the recipe that got you till this point? I mean, it's the same thing playing at a micro level. The macro level is like the kind of strategies, the kind of like methodologies that you use to reach to that point. And are you going to double down or are you going to change? And this is where I think somewhere down the line, what happens is I have seen this, um, um, uh, like unseeded players who make deep runs suddenly in when they go into a big stage like a quarterfinal, they completely collapse because maybe at that point either the belief system stops or perhaps they make quick changes in their strategy or they don't double down on the plan that got them through here, and they just change things. They're confused, and then the wheels come off. So I
It's
have
it's
seen this. Yeah, I've seen this phenomenon.
it's
But yeah, it's
experience too, man.
yeah,
Like
yes,
I feel
absolutely,
like
yeah,
the lack of
yeah,
experience sometimes is, and also
right,
like
yeah,
it's like pressure, right?
yeah,
Like I feel like some players
yeah,
are able to handle stress and pressure better than others,
yeah,
which is what made the big three. Or
true,
I include even Stan and sometimes Andy in there.
yes,
Like
yeah,
some players can't. You have won 6 rounds, you're in the final, but they can't deliver in the final because they can't
yeah,
handle that stage.
yeah,
Where players like Alcaraz and Sinner nowadays, they're so comfortable at that stage that it's just another round for them. And
true,
that's the stage you want to get to. So, in my approach, what I do to get to that, like I played a big match a couple of weeks ago, and I don't want to make this about myself, but just to give some relatability, is I treated that match just as any other match, even though it was like a playoff match, it's a do or die.
right,
It's just you just need to have practiced so well
yeah,
that a final is just like another practice match.
true,
But it's
Yes.
hard because there's so
Yeah,
much at
it's
stake
hard.
at a
So much going on.
professional
Yeah,
level,
yeah, yes. So
right? The
much.
whole world is
Yeah,
watching. There's a lot of prize money out there. There's like stakes, like rankings, points. It's tough. So this really tells you the people who are like mentally very strong.
yeah. Yeah, I of course like from what we spoke to Gigi, right? She did mention that she kind of mentioned the same thing that there are people who are kind of like I won't say born, but they are kind of they're conditioned to playing better. But it's a skill that you can work on with experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like so for sure. I think Gigi herself is a prime example. She did mention that at the beginning of her career, she was hitting a wall and then how
Yeah.
with yeah, it changed.
Delivering at the big stage. And Craig, like I know that, offline we had a couple of things that we wanted to discuss, and it's kind of related to what we're saying too. Tarun, Craig, you brought up a point, and it's relevant for any type of, whether it's professional or not, the importance of winning the first points in the game. And maybe to tie it to the Wimbledon final, like what is your take on that? Like how important is it to get off to that good start in the game itself?
Yeah, I think so. There's an article that we had shared and talked about recently, and I think we'd like to may dive really deep into this in future episode. But to touch on that now and maybe tease it is the article read the first point for a server. If you believe the server for the most part has the advantage, at least maybe garner a little bit more control,
Right.
which creates a slight advantage, 55, 65%, whatever it is, chance of winning the game. And this is based on about 500,000 professional matches at multiple levels. So you're talking about pros and challengers. I don't know how many years it took, but about 500,000 matches were taken into this data account. And when you won the first point as the server, your percentage jumped up from 50, 58, 59, 60% to 84%
Hmm.
and change. And I think about that as a race to 100. So you're
Yeah.
not guaranteed anything, right? But if you get to 100%, and Tarun and I talked about this before the
Yeah.
episode, it's a race to 4, right? If you're both at 0 and you get to 1, well, and you're in control of the point, so to speak, or the game
Yeah.
by serving, your chances now go from 60 to 80. The other guy's got a 20% or 15% chance. And
Yeah.
then if you lose the first point, the server still has like a 58% chance and change. So
Yeah.
even that's still an advantage, but that's a 30% margin, which is
Yeah.
massive. So that's where I look at now. The first point gets you 15% away from 100%, or it takes you back to more than 40% away from
Yeah.
100%, which is massive.
Yeah.
So how it relates to Wimbledon, if I reverse engineer this, that helps with breakpoints, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you get breakpoints, and I think there wasn't as many in this final as the French because
Yeah.
there was a set less and a tiebreaker less as well.
Right.
But you're looking at, I think, Sinner at like 50, low 50%, 4 out of 9 break points, and Alcaraz only 2 out of 6, so 33%. So, the more you win that first point as a server, it trims down some of that potential break point status, and Tarun, you alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
Alcaraz had a tough day serving. Sometimes he has these ups and downs.
Yeah.
Sinner took advantage, had a definite game plan on the return of serve,
Yeah.
and executed it. So, I'd like to dive into that in the future for
Yes.
sure.
Yes. Yes.
But that's a great one because I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it and really
Yes.
dive into. I'll look at the article again and get into some deeper numbers, but that'd
Yes.
be great to hear everybody's
Yes.
thoughts on that for sure.
Absolutely. I will post this article on the show notes, which basically, like as Craig very well put about, talks about how important the first few points of a game are, and it's all like it's a mathematical statistical study which talks about like correlates with your chances of winning the game. So it just looks at past data, and yeah, it'll be amazing to kind of deep dive into it and show. I've also heard a similar theory which says that, of course, backed by numbers, that uh, when the first set is over, when a player loses the first set, it's very, very important for them to lock down and win the first game of the second set. kind of that kind of sets the tone of how they're going to come back, and it kind of, it's the theory of momentum and things like that. So definitely we'll definitely do some more.
I believe a Sinner might have done that
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the second set after losing the first. So it's so
yeah,
key to hold that
yeah,
first game. And like
yeah.
you said, Tarun, I think there are other topics like momentum
Yes,
and things like that, which I think we can bring
yeah.
up the future episodes.
Yes. Yeah, and as a sneak peek, the we will be doing momentum-based analysis for the tennis match analysis that services that we have. So what momentum is to understand the effect of a run of consecutive points that are either won or lost. So we believe that this is quite important to understand and deep dive into. So
It definitely applies
yeah.
to Iga's double bagel, right?
Oh yes, yeah. There's only one way momentum that is. So yeah, yeah. And it happens a lot in junior tennis, I guess, where a player goes on a run, a winning run or a losing run. So things
But
go up and down.
just to close your thought and kind of, wrap up our episode, is I do see that the change in momentum happens a lot more in women's though. And it's like I'm just curious, like as opposed to men's, it's something that I'm curious about. And there are a lot more break of serves, and
Yeah,
it's like there's a lot more momentum shift. I don't really know why. Is it because it's a men versus women thing? I'm not really sure
Yeah.
what the reasons are. That would be interesting.
We'll need Alex for that for sure, because I
yeah,
think we'll talk about that, and I think we'll talk about what Tarun and I talked about pre-show, where we talk about if you have a plan A and it's not working,
Yeah.
and your momentum is not on your side,
yeah.
then you not only are going to plan B or plan C, but hopefully that can be then an avenue to
Right,
get back to your A.
right.
So, and I'd like to definitely would love to talk all about all that, because I think the men's toolbox is certainly differs certainly from the women's toolbox, right? And
Yes,
that's where I think Alex will be able to bridge that gap for us,
yes.
and
Yeah,
make sure we cover that properly.
for
Absolutely. And
sure.
and one of the factors about what you were saying about women is also one of the things that might help, that might contribute to this is the fact that women play best of three versus men best of five.
Hmm.
So it's easy to get into a run of points, which statistically kind of affects the overall course of the game or the set of the match ultimately. So
All these things are actually
yeah,
kind of useful
very,
when we train our juniors too, right? And
yeah.
again, like Craig correctly said, I think having Alex shed some light on these topics is going to be useful. So for sure, we're going to have this discussion in a future episode.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah, there are a lot of amazing topics that we could deep dive on. And I think momentum by itself is a separate topic. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can do that the next episode, Tarun.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
All right, folks, with that, we come to the end of episode number 29, which was all about Wimbledon and what we could learn from it. So, again, Tennis Hackery with a Y is our social media handle. Uh, tennishackery.com is our website. You can find us on all the social media platforms. We're extremely active on Instagram. The audio version of the podcast goes to your favorite podcasting platform. We actually upload it to Spotify. You can look us up on any of your podcasting apps that you have, including Apple Podcasts. The video version goes to YouTube. Uh, and please, please, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and engage with us on social media. In case you like your match to be analyzed, please do email us match@tennishackery.com. We'll be happy to take a look. With that, we come to the end of episode 29. Bye.
Thank
Adios.
you.